Social tumors and telomeres, cancer and corporations, immunity and monopoly, Shmoke and a Pancake. Intro music by Vopiscus. This might be an outdated model, but in the early 2000s, I read about how our cells have a stock of telomeres that allow them to replicate, each division using up a telomere, but something called telomerase makes more telomeres, and something else in your immune system eats the telomeres when a cell has too many, because infinite replication is what makes a tumor. And your immune system trying to prevent cancer is what ultimately causes your senescence and death, as it eventually gets too hungry for telomeres or can't calculate the proper balance or whatever. I'm not clear on why something that works for so many years eventually stops working, so please correct me by email or comment. Just spitballing, maybe the more times a cell has divided, the more prone it becomes to mutation, and that potentiality shows up in janky telomeres that look extra tasty to a certain type of immune cell. Anyway, working from that model, we can compare corporate entities to cells, and regulatory agencies as the immune system. Too little regulation, you end up with overgrown, cancerous monopolies that suck the life out of society. Too much regulation, you stifle growth and innovation to the point where the society ages. The old, overregulated Europe gave birth to the United States, which, free of such heavy oversight, was able to innovate and improve technology and standards of living beyond anything Europe had. The New World also had the stimulus of fresh challenges to overcome, but such things wouldn't have been undertaken if not for the prospect of new wealth creation that Europe had rendered relatively improbable within itself. Overregulation hardened the arteries of Europe and made ever firmer the rigid social class stratification, effectively snuffing out the telomerase of morale. Peter Thiel talks about how there's not as much innovation anymore in the physical realm, relative to how much occurs in the realm of software, because what's better understood by regulators, the physical world of atoms, is more heavily regulated, whereas the regulators don't yet know all the places they can stick their fingers in the digital world of bits. It makes one wonder whether the cancer occurs by some biological equivalent of bribery, with a greedy cell somehow incentivizing the immune system to look the other way while it breaks the rules. Even if we look at a single corporation as the level of individual, there's a lot more room for innovation in a startup versus the bureaucracy of a long-established company with a million-page policy manual to lock it into its proven strategic groove, and a board of directors and management teams in place, all blocking disruptive attempts to reinvent the wheel, mainly so their positions don't lose relevance. I've always thought about a dearth of innovation in terms of coagulation or fossilization, but maybe it has more to do with the sort of over-empowered immune response. And maybe it's better to look at bodies of government not as identical with the society they regulate, but simply as higher-ranking entities within the ecosystem, hopefully aligned with the interests of the people, but ultimately acting for their own self-interest, and potentially capable of becoming the very malignancy they're supposed to prevent. If you're still curious, maybe look into that telomere thing and let me know if they think about it differently these days. My guess is that a more accurate model might make a more fitting analogy. Please contact psychiclube@gmail.com. We appreciate your participation. Hey guys, quick note before I go. I know some of these podcast topics are a little goofy, so if you like the way I think, but you really want to take advantage of the best of what my brain has to offer, look up my books on Amazon or Audible. My first book, Augmenting Willpower, is a field manual for human psychology that emphasizes personal accountability, while my second book, An Idea is Not a Product, is a guide for building routines and systems that force you to put your money where your mouth is. Both titles are available in all formats, so you can listen to the audio on the go, easily search topics by keyword in the ebook, and the paperback fits right in your pocket.